What if the Knights Templar never truly vanished from history? What if their enigmatic power continues to subtly control the world from the deepest shadows? For centuries, mainstream accounts have asserted their complete annihilation. But the official narrative, as we're about to uncover, rarely tells the whole story. Imagine a legendary hidden treasure, a temple brimming with ancient secrets, and a potent curse that might still be actively weaving its influence into our present day. This isn't merely a tale from the annals of the Middle Ages. It's an intricate web of mysteries that remains vibrant and alive even now. So, prepare yourself to delve into truths that some would prefer to keep buried. Today, we're going to metaphorically dust off the closely guarded secrets of one of history's most feared and fascinating orders. But before we journey into the unknown, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment telling us which other secret societies you'd be eager for us to explore. Come on, the real mystery is just beginning to unfold. The captivating saga of the Knights Templar doesn't commence in the opulent grand halls of medieval Europe, nor in the meticulously bound books of revered scholars. Instead, it starts amidst the scorching dust of Jerusalem, beneath a relentless, unforgiving sun, surrounded by threats both seen and unseen. The year is 1119. The brutal Crusades have already carved a devastating trail of blood and ruins across the Holy Land. The fledgling Christian kingdom of Jerusalem, only recently established, stands precariously, much like a sandcastle that trembles and threatens to crumble with every successive wave of conflict. Pilgrims, driven by an unwavering faith, journey from every corner of Europe to visit these sacred sites, only to frequently encounter robbery, kidnapping, or brutal murder along their perilous path. And it is within this relentlessly hostile landscape that a small band of just 9 knights, led by the steadfast Hugues de Payens, takes a solemn vow, a pledge that will irrevocably alter the course of history. They promise to safeguard these vulnerable pilgrims, not for personal glory or earthly wealth, but solely as humble servants of Christ. They adopt the unassuming title of the Poor Knights of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. It was a name so humble, almost insignificant, yet profoundly rich in symbolism. Their chosen headquarters, the very ruins of the ancient Temple of Solomon, arguably one of the most enigmatic and revered sites mentioned in the entire Bible. This hallowed ground didn't merely consist of sacred stones. It was believed to hold deep, untold secrets, and its new occupants were on the verge of uncovering them. Initially, they truly lived up to their name. Poorly equipped, clad in worn tunics, and armed with nothing more than ordinary swords. But they possessed something far more potent than any weapon, an unshakable faith and a conviction in their divine mission. This unique combination set them apart. And while others relentlessly searched for the spoils of war, these knights were digging, quite literally. As time passed, whispers and rumors began to swirl throughout the region. What exactly were these mysterious knights doing beneath the temple? What astonishing discoveries had they unearthed in its forgotten depths? Some conjectured sacred relics of immeasurable power, while others spoke of ancient, forbidden knowledge. What remains indisputable is that, without any conventional or logical explanation, these once poor knights began to rapidly accrue immense influence and cultivate a network of exceptionally powerful allies. The mighty Church of Rome swiftly extended its blessing, and that divine endorsement effectively became an impenetrable armor. In a medieval Europe where even powerful kings frequently found themselves vulnerable, the Templars began to move with an air of absolute authority, as if they answered to an even higher power. And in a sense they did. Not to any earthly throne or temporal ruler, but directly to the Pope himself. What had started as a small, devout group of warrior monks was quickly transforming into something far grander and more formidable. And with this metamorphosis, an entirely new order was born, one that would not only protect ancient roads, but would resolutely carve its own indelible path through history. But the fundamental question remains, what precisely did they unearth beneath the venerable Temple of Solomon? Was that singular discovery the true genesis of their immense power? For countless centuries, the majestic ruins of the Temple of Solomon had been an enduring object of profound reverence, deep-seated fear, and relentless speculation. Yet, when the Knights Templar took possession of that sacred ground, something fundamentally shifted. It transcended being merely a symbolic headquarters. It became the definitive starting point of a mystery that, even today, continues to send undeniable chills down the spine. The official historical documents of the era offer tantalizingly little about the specific activities of the Templars underground, but persistent rumors spoke emphatically of extensive excavations. It was undeniably unusual, bordering on unprecedented, for a military order to systematically dig tunnels beneath such a hallowed site. Were they merely searching for something, or did they already possess precise knowledge of exactly what they intended to find? Some fervent believers suggest that, in those hidden chambers, they unearthed an object capable of fundamentally altering the course of human history, perhaps the Holy Grail itself. Others passionately claim they discovered the Ark of the Covenant, famously lost since biblical antiquity. And there are those who vehemently insist it was a vast collection of secret manuscripts, ancient knowledge concealed for centuries, either to protect humanity or, perhaps, to control it. What remains unequivocally certain is that following those pivotal years beneath the temple, the Templars were no longer merely holy knights. Their trajectory of growth was nothing short of exponential, almost miraculous in its speed and scale. Within just a few short decades, they remarkably transformed from armed beggars into a colossal entity owning vast lands, formidable fortresses, and imposing castles. No one ascends to such power and wealth that quickly without inevitably provoking profound suspicion. And the suspicions did indeed come. Whispers circulated that the Templars had forged a pact, but not with kings, nor with popes. No, it was with something far darker, far more ancient. The legends dramatically claimed they had stumbled upon an ancient power lurking beneath the temple. Something truly profound that should, by all accounts, have remained forever undisturbed and unearthed. Something that fundamentally and irrevocably changed them. Was this the true source of their extraordinary immunity? The very reason why Pope Innocent II granted them the unprecedented privilege of answering only to him? Was it a strategic bargaining chip for the Pope, or a silent, ominous warning to all who might dare to challenge them? The nascent enemies of the order began to regard them with an increasingly wary suspicion. Why, they pondered, would a relatively small group of warrior monks be afforded greater protection and autonomy than many established kings? What arcane knowledge did they possess that was never meant for mortal ears? One thing became abundantly clear. Whatever transpired beneath the Temple of Solomon marked the irreversible beginning of a profound transformation. Something ancient had awakened in those depths, and the resonant echo of that awakening, many believe, still reverberates among the ancient stones of Jerusalem to this very day. But as their spiritual and martial power grew, so too did their intricate network of influence. How did they possibly transition from being humble soldiers to becoming the most powerful and feared bankers in all of Europe? At first, no one truly grasped the magnitude of what was unfolding. How could Inhung's seemingly devout monks, dedicated both to God and to the art of battle, possibly transform into the undisputed masters of finance across the entire European continent? But transform they did, and they managed it with a proficiency that far surpassed any king, noble, or seasoned merchant. The Knights Templar ingeniously created something entirely unprecedented, an international financial network, a precursor to modern banking. While other powerful entities were painstakingly building stone castles, the Templars were strategically building something far more resilient: trust. In every major kingdom, in every bustling city of significance, a Templar commandery was established. These were not simply military fortresses. They functioned as sophisticated logistic centers, strategic outposts, and, most crucially of all, banks. Pilgrims, for example, could deposit their valuable gold in Paris and conveniently withdraw an equivalent sum in distant Jerusalem, a revolutionary concept for the era. Kings, perpetually in need of funds, sought extensive loans from them, and wealthy nobles confidently entrusted their vast fortunes to the order's safekeeping. This was not mere charity. It was a meticulously crafted, perfectly synchronized financial machine. And like every perfectly well-oiled machine, it possessed a hidden, often shadowy, mechanism that propelled its operations from behind the scenes. While the Church ardently protected them with fervent devotion, the Templars relentlessly accumulated vast tracts of land, formidable merchant fleets, and a staggering fortune. However, Their formidable power stemmed not solely from their immense gold reserves. It emanated powerfully from an aura of pervasive mystery. No one, not even the most powerful kings, fully comprehended the intricate workings of their secretive structure. The established nobility began to feel an increasing sense of unease. How appropriate, they mused, was it for a religious order to command and manage more wealth than the entire royal treasury? How dangerous was it to permit an armed, autonomous group to finance or, perhaps, even sabotage a war without requiring so much as a by your leave? And yet, despite these growing anxieties, no temporal power dared to openly challenge them. This was because the Templars were not merely exceptionally rich. They were, in essence, untouchable. Thanks to an array of powerful papal decrees, they answered to no earthly authority save the Pope himself. They could traverse national borders, make far-reaching decisions, and fluidly move vast resources with absolute and unparalleled freedom. No other entity in medieval Europe enjoyed such an extraordinary privilege. These monks with swords had, quite literally, transformed into invisible lords. Their enemies, consequently, began to multiply and fester in the silence, because directly challenging the Templars was not only exceptionally difficult, it was incredibly dangerous. But when power reaches such an absolute zenith, it often becomes utterly unbearable to those beneath it. And so, some influential voices were already beginning to openly question, whom did the Templars truly serve in their hearts? God, themselves, or something far more ancient and sinister? In a devout Europe utterly dominated by faith, rumors became weapons far more lethal and insidious than any sword. And the Knights Templar, once a universally revered and respected order, began to be the subject of chilling whispers that sent shivers down the spines of the populace. Who truly were these men? Were they still the devoted warriors of Christ they purported to be? Or had they subtly transformed into something far more profane? No one could definitively say with absolute certainty, but these sinister stories spread like untamed weeds throughout the continent. There was widespread talk of secret rituals performed deep within their formidable fortresses and of strange, arcane symbols meticulously carved into their chapels. They spoke of terrifying initiation ceremonies that allegedly included spitting on crucifixes, openly denying Christ, and even kissing human skulls. The accusations leveled against them were so monumentally serious that, if proven true, they would instantly brand them as enemies of the very church. But there was a critical problem. The Templars had become simply too powerful to be accused without dire, immediate consequences. The Pope himself owed them unwavering protection. Kings across Europe owed them immense sums of money. Thus, no one dared to break this suffocating silence. No one, that is, except one determined man. King Philip IV of France, financially desperate to settle his colossal debts, shrewdly recognized in those swirling rumors a golden, opportune moment. And although he still possessed no tangible proof, he wielded something far more effective and potent: fear. He began to subtly, yet relentlessly, feed the burgeoning flames of suspicion within the opulent royal courts and along the hushed corridors of the Vatican. What if, he insinuated, the Templars no longer faithfully served God? What if they had, in their extensive excavations, stumbled upon forbidden pagan knowledge, ancient, dark powers that had transformed them from within, corrupting their very souls? The legends, fueled by Philip's machinations, went even further, diving into the truly macabre. People spoke openly of the worship of Baphomet, a grotesque, demonic figure whose ominous name chillingly appeared in confessions extracted under brutal torture. It was whispered that some Templars possessed unholy, dark relics, that others practiced forbidden alchemy, and that many had long since ceased to believe in divine salvation. In the damning words of their relentless enemies, they had effectively become a parallel, shadow church, operating outside God's grace. The tension in the air was palpable, almost unbearable. While society looked upon them with suspicion, the Templars themselves remained stoically silent. A silence that, for many, was tantamount to a damning confession. And then, in the suffocating crucible of fear, the final, decisive blow was struck. On what initially seemed like just another ordinary morning, the brutal hunt began. How does one destroy an order that had appeared utterly invincible with nothing more than a single, devastating word? Heresy. It was a morning like any other morning, until it definitively was not. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, just as the first sliver of dawn broke, Templar knights throughout France were arrested in a coordinated, chillingly precise operation. There were no prior warnings, no opportunities for defense, no formal trials. Only the clanging of chains and the unyielding orders of the king. Philip IV had meticulously moved his pieces in chilling silence, and while the Pope was still hesitantly debating, the king had already acted decisively. More than 100 Templars were rounded up and imprisoned that fateful morning. The official charge, heresy. The true, underlying motive, absolute power and immense wealth. Jacques de Molay, the revered Grand Master of the Order, was captured in Paris. He, who had once commanded vast armies, was now ignominiously dragged through the king's dank dungeons like a common criminal. The interrogations began immediately, accompanied by the oldest and most brutal tool of fanaticism, excruciating torture. Under the unbearable agony, many Templars confessed precisely what their torturers desperately wanted to hear. Yes, they had denied Christ. Yes, they had kissed idols. Yes, they had worshipped a demon called Baphomet. But these forced confessions were notoriously inconsistent, coerced, and often wildly contradictory. Even so, they proved to be enough. Public opinion throughout France swiftly and decisively turned against them. How could it not? If even these revered servants of God could become so utterly corrupted, what genuine hope remained for everyone else? Pope Clement V, now cornered, pressured, and expertly manipulated, was ultimately forced to concede. In 1312, the powerful Order of the Temple was officially dissolved, not out of any genuine conviction regarding their guilt, but overwhelmingly out of sheer political fear. Their vast lands and immense possessions were meticulously divided among other orders and the crown. Some Templars were eventually released, others tragically perished in prison, and some, infamously, were burned at the stake. In 1314, Jacques de Molay himself was led to the pyre. Legend has it that, as the agonizing flames began to consume him, he pronounced a chilling curse. He summoned both the Pope and the King to appear before divine judgment within a single year. And the most unsettling part of this legend is that both powerful figures died just a few months later, sending ripples of dread through Europe. The order was physically silenced, but the lingering echo of its dramatic fall still reverberates powerfully throughout history. Because the fabled Templar treasure was never truly found and the definitive, irrefutable evidence of their alleged crimes was never concretely discovered. The only thing that truly endured was the profound, enduring mystery. But if the Templars were truly and completely eliminated, how then can we adequately explain the tantalizing traces of their presence that seemingly continue to appear today? And what, indeed, ever became of that fabled missing treasure? The mighty order had been ruthlessly dissolved, its revered leaders executed, and its vast properties confiscated. But there was one thing that neither King Philip nor Pope Clement could ever lay their hands upon: the legendary, elusive Templar treasure. For centuries, this has remained one of the greatest, most enduring obsessions of historians, thrill-seeking adventurers, and fervent conspiracy theorists alike. Where's the Templars' legendary gold? What profound secrets did it guard? And why, to this very day, has it never been definitively recovered? According to some fascinating chronicles, the Templars possessed an uncanny foresight, somehow knowing precisely what was coming for them. Weeks before the massive, coordinated raid, mysterious carts reportedly departed from the Grand Commandery in Paris under the cloak of night. They never arrived at any recorded port. In fact, they were never seen again. What could they have been carrying? Some sources suggest tons of glistening gold. Others passionately claim ancient, sacred manuscripts of immense value. And there are those who firmly believe they were transporting incredibly sacred relics, or perhaps even cursed ones. In Scotland, Portugal, and other regions where the order had maintained a presence, rumors emerged of Templars who miraculously managed to escape and regrouped under new identities. In Portugal, for instance, the Order of Christ mysteriously appeared, curiously protected by the very king who steadfastly refused to accept the dissolution of the Templars. This was seen by many as a clear, hidden continuation of the original order. And then there are the enigmatic signs, cryptic inscriptions carved into ancient stone, hidden symbols embedded in the architecture of old churches, maps that appear to lead nowhere, or perhaps more intriguing, lead to places where, logically, there should be absolutely nothing at all. In the Americas, even prior to the official arrival of Europeans, there were already indigenous legends circulating about mysterious white men distinguished by red crosses. Impossible? Perhaps. But then again, wasn't the sudden, meteoric rise of a small group of warrior monks once considered equally impossible? Freemasonry, the enigmatic Illuminati, and various other secret societies have been linked, sometimes with compelling evidence, other times with speculative theories, to the enduring Templar legacy. And although official history resolutely insists that the order unequivocally vanished, the underlying truth appears far more intricate and nuanced. While the Templars themselves may have perished, their powerful myth was never truly buried. The very fire of their executions only served to fan the flames of their legend, making it burn brighter and hotter. A potent flame that continues to burn to this day, every time someone dares to ask what there's still out there, subtly pulling the strings of power from the shadows. Their supposed disappearance solved absolutely nothing. On the contrary, it merely opened the floodgates to centuries of profound mystery. Every single clue discovered merely generates a new, perplexing question. Every unearthed symbol sparks a new enigma, and every lingering silence only deepens a new suspicion. Perhaps the Templars did indeed disappear physically, but their powerful, enduring legacy still resonates in every hidden corner of history. In ancient, untranslated codices, in forgotten, crumbling ruins, and in clandestine societies that meticulously operate far from the harsh light of public scrutiny. Perhaps we will never truly uncover the whole truth. Or perhaps, just perhaps, we're simply not yet ready to know it. Thank you for staying with us until the very end of this exploration. If you thoroughly enjoyed this video and find yourself passionate about this kind of thought-provoking content, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming videos. We'll see you in the next video.